Now it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie, and we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Welcome to New Release Review, part of the Movie Friends podcast. My name is Seth. Today we are talking about Wake Up Dead Man from 2025, directed by Rian Johnson. We will be discussing spoilers throughout this entire episode, and we might touch on Knives Out and Glass Onion, but probably we won't get too heavy into spoiler territory for those. Definitely for Wake Up Dead Man, though. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch the movie and then come back and listen. My guest for today is returning guest, Ryan Ritter, 2 times in 1 year, actually. You were just on... I know. It feels like 1,000 years ago that you were on for 28 years later. But, I mean, that was... What was it? Like this summer?
August, maybe? Yeah. The quality of the podcast is really going down. If you're really in trouble if you need to have me on twice in 1 year. So, got to work on that.
Well, you are officially a themed guest. You must only come on for discussions of death and how humans deal with it.
And third installments.
Yes. Oh, very good. Very good. Very good. Yeah, Ryan, what's going on?
I'm doing good. Yeah, Wake Up Dead Man. That's what my wife had to tell me in order to get me up in time for this recording. It's a little early on my side of the country, but no, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got to see this movie in theaters last night, not realizing that it's the same day that it came out on Netflix.
Kind of an act of defiance. I like that.
Yeah. So, but it was great, and I was fortunate enough to see this in a theater with a lot of people, and I live near Albany, New York. And they mention Albany by name several times, and every time everyone, because they kind of, whenever they mention it, it's kind of disparaging, and everyone in the audience was like, "Hey, come on now." It was great. And then when the movie ended, everyone stayed and they were discussing the mysteries, like in their seats. It was a great movie going experience. So yeah, I'm kind of riding high off of that. So for you, just general thoughts, how did you feel about this one?
Yeah, I really like this one, and I also got to see it in theaters. Where I live in California, there's not a whole lot of like revival / like art house theaters, but
Sure.
I do live down the street from one, and I was lucky enough that they had a window of distribution. Because I understand, theatrical distribution of this is not exactly what Rian Johnson had envisioned, and he's spoken openly about the struggles to get it into theaters prior to it getting dumped on Netflix, where it'll inevitably fall off the algorithm by the time this episode comes out, right?
Right.
But I was lucky enough to see it in theaters. I do think that makes a difference, because it is a movie made for people to experience together and kind of ride the roller coaster together. We didn't quite have people like staying around talking, but you could tell there was like a buzz walking out. So that was really, really cool. It's a movie that I went into with not trepidation, but it felt like there's a little pressure on it for me to deliver. I really, really liked the first Knives Out. I've been a Rian Johnson fan for a while. I will spare everyone A Last Jedi Screed. It's a movie I really like, and I'm just going to leave it there.
I agree.
But I've liked him. I knew you knew what you were talking about. Look at that. But I've liked him ever since the Breaking Bad days. He directed, I can't remember the name of the episode that everyone loves.
The Fly.
That's the one I've always really liked. Kind of a controversial episode. People accuse it of being boring. Nothing going on. I totally disagree. That's kind of when I got hooked on this guy. I was like, okay, this guy's got something. So when he did a Star Wars movie. I was really excited. Then yeah, he did Knives Out. I thought that was a lot of fun. Saw that in theaters. And Glass Onion a couple years later, I thought was okay. I think I might have been giving it a little extra credit because I liked the first one so much. Looking back, Glass Onion was not my favorite. I think part of that was because I watched it on Netflix with just me and my wife. You wonder if I had seen it in a theater, if I might have felt differently, but not to be. So I was like, okay, there's kind of like one up, one down. And then here comes Wake Up Dead Man, which I'm not ready to declare fully, but very possibly could be the best of the three. That's very, very, very possible. In the Breaking Bad episode, I couldn't remember the name of it, of course, because it's going to bug me. Ozymandias, of course.
Oh, sure.
The almost de facto finale, even though it's like there's like two others after that. But anyway, yeah. But this is not a Breaking Bad podcast. Sorry, I was just being
right.
I was being stubborn. Wake Up Dead Man, really liked it. Really, really great. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I had kind of the opposite experience where Knives Out comes out, everyone is raving and ranting, and I watched it and I was like, meh. And I like Rian Johnson. I remember being a kid and getting Brick on DVD from Hollywood Video and being floored by it. Like, just watched it multiple times, showed as many people as I could this movie. And so any Rian Johnson thing that has come out since Brick, I've been very excited about. And then Knives Out, I was like, this isn't really that good. I don't really enjoy this. But I can't really express that because everyone is so high on this movie. Then when Glass Onion came out, I went to see that in theaters and loved it. I laughed so much during that movie. I thought that it was so much more fun and funnier than the first one. Edward Norton dressing like Tom Cruise in Magnolia is one of the funniest movie gags in recent. It's just so perfect. So yeah, I went into this one and I was like, okay, can he kind of do this again? Because Knives Out, the series, I think is kind of about like subverting the mystery movie, especially the first one. It tells you the mystery to begin with. And so
yeah, they tell you what happened like in act one.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
So so going into this one, I was like, okay, can he do this a third time in a way that makes sense? And I think that he did. I think that, I was kept guessing all along the way. And I was keeping track, like, who is he writing this letter to? He wasn't writing the letter to Benoit Blanc to get him to come help. And then you see why he's writing the story down. And then Benoit Blanc is like, why did you do it? And then you think, oh my God, he did kill him. So it goes in a lot of different directions, and it really keeps the mystery going until its final moments. And I was impressed. I was really impressed. I am ready to say that this is my favorite of the three. And I liked how after the kind of outright silliness of Glass Onion, that he went in a different direction with this, where this one is very emotional, very spiritual. It's having a lot of discussions about religion, spirituality, doubt, disbelief. And I thought that he pulled it off better than most modern discussions on those things do in movies. So yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against. I don't know how many more movies we'll have in the Knives Out franchise. I think the deal with Netflix was only for 2, so I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But I feel much more comfortable now with this one, showing that he can kind of do this character. And Benoit Blanc is a very silly character on the face of it. He's talking like he talks like an SNL character. It doesn't always make a whole lot of sense as to why, but I think being able to fully put him in like a silly world and then like this kind of more dark is such a overrated word, but like kind of a more mature, pensive kind of world. and it both works in different ways, I think shows that almost anything is on the table now. So that's really exciting. It doesn't always have to just be like silly rich, like really stupid rich people stories.
Right.
It can also be, just kind of uptown New York, I guess, kind of like faith-based murder stories, and that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
I'd be very curious to see, everyone, since the first Knives Out, everyone's like, oh, they should do one with Muppets. I think they should do one with like young people, like switch up the setting and the culture. Do one with like 17 to 22-year-olds, and just
yeah, like a
Benoit
mystery at a
Blanc
school.
like in the club,
This beat, it's invigorating.
Yeah.
Rather charming.
I don't know about you. I grew up reading the Hardy Boys, and I also read Nancy Drew. And a fun thing about those series was you like a character, but then you put the character into all of these different scenarios, and it all still works. So you have one where the Hardy Boys are, it's a mystery at the docks, and then there's one, it's a mystery at a ski trip, and then there's one, a mystery at NASA or whatever.
Sure.
And I would like to continue seeing this character in this one, especially because he takes such a back seat in this one, and it still works. Like, Benoit Blanc is really the supporting character to Josh O'Connor's father. Is it
every time I saw the name on screen, I had to sit there and go like, is it pronounced? Yeah, it's Judd, but it's the last name is kind of crazy.
Duplessis, which I think that we don't see his full name until the end of the movie.
We see it at the end of the movie. Doesn't he have like a name plate on his desk or something? That's the only other time I can think of, because otherwise they just call him Father Judd, which is a great name.
So the fact that the formula and the character still works with someone else in the lead, that was very exciting to me. Like, I thought that was actually another fun subversion for Rian Johnson himself to be like, yeah, we're going to do the third Benoit Blanc film. He's not going to really be in it that much. Like, he's not going to show up for a good portion of the movie. And even then, he's still kind of playing second fiddle to Josh O'Connor. And I don't mean that in any kind of bad way.
No.
I think it's proof, I don't know. People can call me a Rian Johnson fanboy. I don't feel that way. I don't love Looper. I'll just put that out there. I already said I don't really love Knives Out, but I think that he's a good writer.
He's a great writer, and I feel so. I have a lot of Benoit thoughts on this, because you're right. It struck me. He didn't show up for like an hour into this. I mean, very briefly in the beginning, right, just to establish it's a Benoit Blanc mystery. Don't go anywhere. But I think it's the strength of this movie that, like, if he had never shown up, I think the movie still would have succeeded, because the world building is so strong and the characters and the settings are so evocative that, like, if Josh O'Connor just remained the sole lead of this, the movie still would have been a success. So I think that's a sign of strength for this one. Benoit Blanc's role in these movies are really interesting, and it's been kind of fun to track over the years, because I feel like they actually get a pretty good balance out of him in this one. Going back to the first one, it's kind of interesting that the first Knives Out movie kind of established this franchise as it's the wacky Daniel Craig detective movie, because you go back, Ana de Armas has like twice the amount of screen time as he does. Like, it is her movie through and through. But he pops because he's in a supporting role, and there's no one else quite like him in this movie. Glass Onion, again, a movie I did like. I don't want to miscategorize, because I think I gave it like 4 stars on Letterboxd. I don't want anyone being like, "Hey, Ryan, you're talking crap about that movie. You still make you like it. What's the deal?" But I do think it is maybe too much of Benoit Blanc at the focus. Like, we see him at home. We follow. He is the character that we follow, and I feel like that's too much Benoit, just because it just feels not right. I feel like I don't think I need to see like where he lives or see him like dealing with COVID. That just feels like too much stuff, right? Yeah. But here he is a supporting role, but there is like a very clear defined arc. There's his relationship with Faith that's a lot of information, more information than we've ever gotten about him. He talks about his relationship with his mother, which has never been brought up before, but it's all in the service of the story. And it's kind of this meant to be like this kind of counterpoint to Father Judd, to the point where he's not like a full-on believer at the end, but it's very clear that he's a changed person, Benoit is, for having worked on this mystery. And I think that's really cool. And I think it shows a lot of growth, a lot of restraint from Rian as a writer, who can sometimes be a little on the nose. Yeah, I'm not an apologist for him either. There are things about him, I think, and we'll talk about him, even in this movie, it's not perfect, but I think he's gotten very, very, his hand has gotten lighter. And I think that's a really, really exciting thing, especially since he's like in his 50s now. And, that's usually when you're kind of set as who you are as an artist. And in fact, I see him growing. That's really exciting. So that was my Benoit thought.
Yeah, I loved how throughout the whole film, Benoit was like, yeah, church sucks and God isn't real and all this. And then everything happens, and at the very end, someone says something to him. He's like, no, he's like, belief is a fiction. Like, he's still, but what he acknowledges is that he's not following the lead of the church or of faith. He's following the lead of Father Judd. And so it's through like witnessing how he deals with other people that Benoit's like, oh, like I can be different, not based on what this person believes, but based on how this person is. And I thought that was a pretty good distinction, because I was like, there's no way that this movie's going to end with like Benoit Blanc being like, I believe in miracles now. Like, that would be insane.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right. Yeah. Like, that would be crazy. And it doesn't go there, but it shows like a respect for the person. And that's what I really liked about how they portrayed Father Judd. Josh O'Connor, I have not seen many things with him. I'm going to take a look at what I have seen. I know that I've seen him in Challengers, and I found him to be incredible in that. Like, just really incredible. That might be the only thing that I've seen him in, because I haven't seen Chimera yet. I haven't seen The Mastermind. I haven't seen The History of Sound. But I thought he was awesome in this. Like, so good. I felt like he was giving an old world movie performance. Like, he does not feel modern. If you had told me that this, character was written and filmed in 1952, I would fully believe it. And he's funny, he's emotional. I mean, the scene where he calls the construction company, I think, is close to like the best written scene in the movie. And I think it's really the heart of the movie, because you have Father Judd and Benoit Blanc. They're wrapped up in this mystery. They're so excited. They they think that they're going to find like where all the money is. They're going to solve everything. And so they're really rushed. And he gets on the phone with this woman at the construction company, played by Bridget Everett. And
almost steals
we
the
know
show.
her for comedy for the most part. And it's a comedic scene. And then the tempo just changes, like, it just comes to a halt, and it becomes a very different thing. And you see Benoit and Judd looking at each other, recognizing each other. You have the really important, literal, factual thing that's going on. And then there's also the human, spiritual part, the component. And I was just like, this is such a well-written scene that gives us as the audience the reality of these two people's lives. And I thought it was beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. For people who don't have faith, it's hard for them to understand what that gives to people. And it's hard. it's hard to express how important that is, to feel seen and understood and not alone. And so I was like, that whole sequence to me was like the best part of the movie.
You said it's the best written scene of the whole movie. I venture to guess it may be the best written scene of the whole series up to this point. I'm hard pressed to come up with something that matches it. And a lot is writing on this. I as I'm sitting here, we talked about like that end point for Blanc, and I feel like a lot of that, our buy-in of like that turn of like, I'm not going to mass, God knows, but I do kind of believe in Father Judd.
Right.
If Benoit doesn't, if Benoit never has that scene where he gets to see like the kind, compassionate, community-oriented,
Right.
empathetic, humanist,
Right.
that scene doesn't work. And if we don't believe the turn in that scene, you're right. There's a very major tempo change, and tempo changes are really hard in movies.
Yes.
And I think the best ones make it look easy, but audiences notice when they don't work.
Like everyone loves, the tempo change in the beginning of Meet Joe Black, one of the most famous examples of spoiler alert for the first 5 minutes of Meet Joe Black, but you have a nice little scene on the sidewalk, and then Brad Pitt is hit by like 3 cars.
I first saw that as a GIF in high school, believe it or not. So
it's
there you go.
Incredible moment, but it's hard to do. Is my point? Like, is this intended to be funny? Is it intended to be shocking? And we can look at examples of how not to do it. And I would point at this as a great example of exactly how to do it.
100%. And I also want to echo your praises for Josh O'Connor. He is revelatory in this. And I know he's been like a movie star lowercase for a while, but I think this one kind of solidifies him as like one of the guys going forward. I mean, it seems very clear. I hadn't seen Challengers. I hadn't seen The Mastermind, although I really want to, on both hands. I know him from The Crown, which everyone knows as everyone's mom's favorite show, right?
Sure.
Because that's a show that it's 6 seasons. It's following the life of Queen Elizabeth, and every couple of seasons it does a complete cast overhaul. So as they age up, so in the middle 2 seasons he plays Prince Charles. And he's quite good. A lot of the stuff that happens in those seasons, I feel like he gets kind of overshadowed because that's where we get like Gillian Anderson as like Margaret Thatcher, and that's when they start introducing like Diana to all these big things that just kind of take up all the oxygen. But I thought, even at the time, I was like, he is the best thing on this show right now. He is fantastic, and so it's really cool to see him become. He's taking the leap this year. That's really cool.
He's really great, and he's so funny. He's so funny when he's supposed to be, and his story really draws you in. And then I think like knowing that he didn't do it really freaked me out, because I was like, there's no way that it doesn't look like him. Anyway, yeah, Josh O'Connor, awesome, best part of the movie. And the only thing that I don't know that I would say that I didn't love the final shot. He constructs a new cross for the church himself, and he puts the jewel in the heart of Christ on the cross. We see throughout the movie that like everyone is tempted and kind of like destroyed by this wealth and this jewel. Even the priest who wanted to hide it is killed by it. A Catholic priest committing suicide is quite the choice.
It's a provocative idea, isn't it?
Yes, quite the choice. If you're unaware, listener, committing suicide is a very big no sin.
Yeah.
It's
one of the big ones you can't do.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that you're not allowed to do. And so going that way with it, very interesting choice. But we see, you know, Father Judd is the only one who's kind of untemptable,
Yeah,
untemptable. Sure, yeah.
I
He
know,
does
I know
not.
what you're saying. I think
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
he does not give in to temptation, despite everyone kind of portraying themselves as pious. He is like swearing throughout the movie. He's constantly like saying things that he shouldn't do, and yet it's
Mm-hmm.
this imperfect person who in the end is the only one who's able to be like, I'm not interested in the money. So I liked that. I just don't know that I was, because I was like, you know what, if you're trying to hide it, I mean, I can see it. maybe cover it a little better.
I think that is an example of like, I think he's going for like tying a couple things together than it making sense. Him being Rian Johnson. And I didn't notice this until my wife pointed it out when we were walking home. Of that kind of ties into what's the name of the son? The kind of Republican streamer son.
Mm-hmm.
Josh O'Connor tells him like your inheritance sits with Christ. Well, it
Oh, very
literally
good. Yeah,
does. Yeah. So I
right,
think that he's going for that, like a kind of like a aha, clever moment, as
right,
opposed
right,
to this makes sense. You hide it
right,
somewhere that everyone in this church can see.
right. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, let's all go check out the church of the highly publicized priest who we thought was a murderer, but then turns out was involved in a jewel heist murder plot scheme. And right above his head, I feel like I see a glint of something, but you
Oh
know,
well.
that's just the cross that he himself made. There's probably nothing to it.
Yeah. We cannot judge. Who are we to?
Right.
We cannot know the face of, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Like,
If there's a down spot in this movie, and this might be controversial, it might not be. I have no idea. I've read nothing about this. I just watched this last night, came home,
gotcha.
didn't read anything about it yet. For me, and this is crazy, I feel crazy even saying this, Josh Brolin, one, his wig and beard is atrocious. It is atrocious. So much so that at one point I thought he was going to rip it off. Like I was like, I
Sure.
think that this is fake. I don't even know that that is a wig and a beard. Maybe that's his real hair, but if so, it looks fake. And then I got what they were doing, and I appreciated, this is, I mean, look, we're, it's in 2025, so it's hard to not see Trump figures kind of everywhere. I don't
Correct.
know that he was fully going for that, but like, this movie felt very grounded, very realistic, except for his character. I didn't quite understand that. The idea that you could have a church where the dude is like horrible and evil and mean and angry, but he has this very devoted group of people. But then, like, as I'm describing it, I'm like, well, right, but that's literally our administration right now.
Right. And
And
I think, yeah.
there's very on the nose stuff about it, and then there's some more subtle stuff. But to me, I just feel like Brolin in the role, he didn't sell it for me fully.
Fair enough. I liked Brolin in this. He's had quite a year, by the way. I think this, Josh, the Joshes in these movies are everywhere. Josh O'Connor did 4 movies. Josh Brolin did 3, and I think the other 2 were Weapons, and of course, The Running Man.
Yeah.
Everyone has Running Man fever. You can't,
of course,
you can't hear enough about it. I thought he was good. I think this is where Rian Johnson's hand is still a little heavy. The kind of discussions about our times that we live in. I mean, even in Knives Out, like that's a scene that is very, it hits me different ways every time I watch it. We're all sitting around talking about like, immigrating the right way, and like they're putting kids in cages and all that stuff. It's all very on the nose. It's all a little online. And frankly, if I could give Rian Johnson one piece of advice, like he needs anything from me, but it would be to just log off for a little while and just not bring in internet speak. But we'll talk about Andrew Scott's character later.
Sure.
But I think the key to Josh Brolin's character is that whole like and again, it's on the nose. I've heard people literally say this about the current president. I've heard it for years, but like, yeah, he's a jerk and he's a strong man, but like he's there to protect us. Like he's our strong man.
Sure.
And like, I think in that sense, considering how broken everyone is in both, sometimes in body, sometimes in spirit, sometimes in both, I can kind of see it, even if it's not subtle. This is kind of where Rian Johnson's lesser instincts sometimes get away with him, is these kind of tying things into the topicality of the now.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying.
And it's contrast, of course. We're contrasting, him with Father Judd, and Johnson is clearly making a case for, false religion and true religion. And I mean, look, it's not a huge secret that the Catholic Church is horrible and messed up. And I wasn't like, oh, this wouldn't really happen. I just felt like there was something just like 2 degrees too much. Like, your fingers on the button just a little too hard for it to fit in what I felt was a good, nuanced, subtle story that's playing with mystery and playing with time. And then you have this bull in this china shop, and I was like, just a little less, and I would have really loved it. And I love Josh Brolin. I think generally he's an interesting and exciting actor. I'm a big fan of his poetry that he writes. I don't know if you've ever delved into. He's
Never.
An interesting guy. Oh yeah, very very cool.
There's a lot going on in there, huh?
Yeah, a lot going on. And then at the end, I was like, oh my God, this guy actually raises from the dead? What?
And I'll give the series credit because, of course that's all kind of demystified by the end. Like there's all explanation for every single part of it. And that's understandable because these movies do exist in the real world. But I'll give the series credit. I was like, maybe the Knives Out universe just exists in a world where you can come back from the dead. Maybe that's just what we're going to be doing here, and they're not going to explain it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, so was that a body double in the morgue? Like, I was thinking of all these other scenarios that would allow for him, because I was like, oh, this is literally Josh Brolin, or not Josh Brolin, but his character. So I was like thinking, okay, how did they do this? I didn't realize that it was a body double. So I thought that was pretty funny. Thomas Hayden Church is, I feel like, just almost not in this movie. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He's another guy that I like. I think that he's generally good to great in movies. And I mean, he did a good job. I just...
Yeah. It's almost hard to know what the comment is
in
right?
this movie.
100% factual statement. Thomas Hayden Church has scenes in this movie. I think that whole like rising from the dead explanation is kind of where I'm at the point with these movies where I don't even bother sitting around trying to figure them out, because I feel like there's always at least like a couple of elements that like it's not possible to even guess this. So like don't worry about. Like I feel like they kind of cheated that a little bit with like it wasn't Josh Brolin, it was Thomas Hayden Church. Like in those scenes, the footage is of Josh Brolin, so like I feel like you don't really have a chance to really get it. So that's again, there are some moments where I'm like, man, that's not fun if you're just gonna lie a little bit. But still, I do think Thomas Hayden Church and Josh Brolin from a distance in this movie do look alike, so I'll give them credit on that. There is something to be said there. But yeah, he's an interesting character, kind of like a reformed alcoholic that seems very indebted to Josh Brolin's character and fiercely loyal. Again, a broken man in spirit trying to rebuild himself. You wonder what would happen if he met Father Judd first, like, but could have used more of him. He could have been a lead of his own movie altogether. So it's too bad he's kind of relegated to like 10th on the roster here.
Yeah. And not to completely backtrack everything that we just said, but it does kind of work that he's there. You know that he's there. But then when you see him walk out of the tomb, you don't think like, oh, well, that's that other guy who looks just like Josh Brolin with the hair and the height
100%.
and everything. So it's like, perhaps it is smart writing that he's there, but not very prevalent. And it works for that reveal.
Just long enough for you to forget.
Just long enough for you to be like, because the whole time I was like, okay, I know all the key players. I stored right at the beginning with Jeffrey Wright. When Jeffrey Wright was like, I don't like this guy, by the way. I was like, you're the murderer. when they were like, we found red thread in the thing, I was like, Cardinals have red. He popped up and killed this guy. But I was trying to keep track of all of the different players and like their height and their. But I agree with you. At a certain point, it's like, just be patient. We'll know everything by the end.
Yeah, I'll just enjoy the ride.
Just don't try to figure it out as you're going, because it's not going to make any sense.
You know, I hadn't put together the whole red thread and the cardinal thing, but obviously it's kind of a dead end. But that has to be like an intentional red herring, right? And that's part of the fun. It's like there are connections you can draw that just don't yield anything, but they are legitimate connections. Like I think that's kind of part of the fun of Rian Johnson's mystery writing.
Yeah, and like, you know, the reveal that our main culprit-ish is Glenn Close, who I thought was really good in this.
Sure.
You know, she's kind of in the Josh Brolin arena, more of being very much this one character. But I really liked her. And yeah, when you get to the final reveal of everything, it's like, there's no way that you ever could have figured that out.
Yeah. And if you accept that going in, I think it makes for a nicer time. But I think if, you know, and many people who watch a mystery movie like being able to kind of, I have a couple friends in my life who just cannot abide by these movies because of that very thing. Because it's like, well, I have no chance. So what's the point? And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's fair. But to me, the mystery is just almost like a way to get these characters in a room together and start talking. So, you know, I think the best ones of these, the mystery, I mean, they could be talking about almost anything, and I think it'd still be fun. And that's why that's why this one works. I mean, it could just be a 2-hour pensive Chloe Zhao movie about Josh O'Connor in this church, you know, and it would have been just as good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Glenn Close is kind of like my Josh Brolin for you. I think she's sometimes maybe 2 degrees too much just for me in this, but you know, a crucial role, and it's kind of hard to imagine anyone else playing that particular type. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. It still works, but like there's a couple of times where I'm like, she could pot it down a little bit. I was trying to make some sort of Glenn Close joke, like she goes to Glenn far or something, but it wasn't working. So never mind. Cut all that. Yeah.
Oh no, that's staying in.
Oh no.
Glenn Farr is making it.
Yes. You have your clip for the social media. Yeah. She was good, but maybe could have potted it down here and there, but still, not enough to distract or ruin anything for me.
Yeah. And I you know, I liked her connection to the church. She grows up there. She has great respect for Brolin's father. She witnesses his death, which I knew that would come back. Yeah. When she was like, "Oh, I saw his final communion," I was like, something's going to happen. And kind of to what you said, it cheats a little because when it shows it to us, we don't see her, you know, in the background. Yeah. We see it as if she was watching from the door. And so this idea that she, you know, hated this woman and then lied about the events that took place, there's a lot that, consciously or not, is being said there about the history of women in the church and how the church and the government in tandem have called women hysterical or called women demon possessed or called women, you know, any type of explanation that they can give as to why women have done the things that they've done while ignoring the reality of the situation that they were in. And for her to kind of come clean about that, I thought that was a good arc for her. Being a woman herself, she has helped to perpetuate this lie in this entire town and church to the point where they don't have a cross on their wall, so that anyone who enters that church will remember the story of this evil woman. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty wise inclusion for Johnson, who's tackling this very large topic of the history of the church, I guess I'll say.
It's a humongous topic, and one that people can spend their whole lives trying to unravel and pick apart and put back together. And the fact that I almost called this, the fact they put this all in I almost referred to as a silly detective movie. That again, this is not. There's not a whole lot of jokes in this one. I mean, I mean, Daniel Craig says Scooby Dooby Doo and stuff in this.
Right.
It's not all somber faces, but it's less of a romp than past ones. But the fact that he's able to kind of fit all this thematic work in and have it basically make sense, or at least a complete thought, is really impressive, because there are movies that are frankly just all about the church that don't have the same clarity. And so I don't know. I just think it's just exciting to me as someone who has had to kind of defend Rian Johnson's movies in the past. See him kind of tighten up some things is really, really exciting to me. So that's why I keep coming back to that, because it shows that maybe what else is he capable of,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think that he kind of gets away with it in this movie. The movie doesn't not come across as overly preachy. It does not come across as overly judgmental. It doesn't really come across as anything in either direction. I can imagine if you are a person who believes that this movie would not be overly offensive to you, and if you are a person who is an atheist, that this movie would not be overly offensive to you. I think he kind of got away with it. He delved into one of the things that we're told not to talk about at Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes into it. He uses references, which I wanted to mention. It is jarring for us to hear speech sometimes. Someone uses the word libtard in this, which is not a word that I would use. And
no,
it's okay, is this too modern? Is this too trying to be in a specific time and place? A lot of times movies that are universal, we kind of think of them as timeless. And so Rian Johnson, throughout his 3 movies, is nope, these are of their time. All 3 of
100%.
them are very much of their time. My characters are going to talk like they would talk. Is it jarring for us as film lovers to see a character holding an iPhone gimbal the entire movie?
I hadn't really thought about it like that, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that he also kind of gets away with those things. He's hey, I'm going to delve into topics that we're talking about on the internet. I'm going to talk about religion. And I think he goes in, he does his little fun playing around with it, and then he gets out. And that, I think, again, is a credit to him as a writer. It's really, I think, his strong suit. And I mean, the direction in this is great. Like you said, it looks really good. I love all of the rooms that we're in, from Kerry Washington's house to Jeremy Renner's house and Jeremy Renner's base. Everywhere that we are feels like a place,
Even
his
the
teeny little
exterior
bedroom
of the church.
in the church attic or wherever it is.
The basement in Jeremy Renner's house, I mean, you mentioned his house, but specifically that basement is it's almost from a different movie. It's so creepy. But it all works. Everything just kind of meshes and melts together so nicely. Yeah, the whole libtard stuff, and it's not we have to be very careful. I'm not offended by the word, and I don't think anyone really thinks that. But that was Andrew Scott's character, right? Who is an actor I really, really
Mhm.
like ever since he's the hot priest, right? In Fleabag.
Sure. Yeah.
Which like that's like a masterpiece of a show, right? That's one of the characters when I think about what are the things I wish like could have been done a little differently, like that character, because he's all that. It's all just like, these woke cucks or whatever are keeping me from
Mhm.
being able to write on my Substack, and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
all right, all right, and you're right. That's an intentional choice, Rian Johnson. That's something that he likes to do. It's something that I don't think can be extricated from the Knives Out series because they're all really like that. But that was the only one where I'm like, I wish there was just something a little bit more substantial to his character specifically because it's an interesting character. This kind of
Mhm.
like washed up science fiction writer, right? Something that he's explored like genre writers in this series before, to great effect. And this one I just felt like Andrew Scott's capable of more in a Knives Out movie, and I wish there was something a little bit more there than just like this like
Yeah.
aggravation guy. That's all.
Yeah. 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 I was wondering if this is a very slight, gentle prod at Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. This failed science fiction writer who is now attempting to have this kind of spiritual come back and establish, this the deification of this person. And I was like,
I
you
hadn't
know,
thought about that, but that's very possible. That's very possible.
in the very gentle way that Hollywood will ever poke at Scientology. I was like, this might
Sure.
be, very subtle. But anyway, but yeah, he was good in this. I'll say, like, I don't think anyone was bad in this. Even Josh Brolin. I, I just felt like it wasn't in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was perhaps yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm
Kerry
with you.
Washington.
It's great.
She's the lawyer who raises Daryl McCormick's Psy. She also doesn't have a ton. Like, I feel like kind of all of the side characters: Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Daryl McCormick, Thomas Hayden Church, Jeffrey Wright. I kind of feel like all of them have just really, really, really small roles. Where in
Yeah,
Glass Onion, I felt like it was more sprawling,
that's fair. Yeah,
and you had more
this is tighter.
time to spend. Yeah, um, this, yeah, but in this one, I feel like for the most part, other than Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Daniel Craig, and maybe Josh Brolin for the first part of the movie, we really don't spend a lot of time with them. So I would say that this Knives Out feels the least like an ensemble. Does that seem fair?
That seems totally fair. Because I'm thinking even in Knives Out, it has like the original one. Um, by the way, why are these called a Knives Out mystery? Shouldn't they be called a Benoit Blanc mystery?
I
I found that very interesting branding choice.
I know.
Um,
I know.
uh,
It's all because of everything has to be product recognition now.
I see.
You might
IP.
not know that the dude's name is Benoit Blanc, so you have to tell people it's Knives Out. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
a wacky Daniel Craig mystery. But even like even the first one, I mean, it has about an equal amount of cast members, but I feel like everyone kind of gets like a definable moment you can point to. Okay, Toni Collette's moment is here, and Michael Shannon's moment is here. Chris Evans, da 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 da. Yeah, here it's like you're almost like, oh yeah, I forgot Kaylee Spaney was in this.
Yeah.
There's so much time that passes. So yeah, I think it's a tighter movie at the top. I'll go along with that. I think that's fair. That's a
Yeah.
fair categorization.
And I did like how all of the different characters of the core parishioners are, you could categorize them all as like different types of religious trauma or religious pain. The things that they're all like the bad side of belief, I guess I would say. Kaylee Spaney, especially, just pouring all of her money into faith because she believes that it will, heal her. That I think was like the toughest kind of pill to swallow because that's just very, very relatable.
Yeah,
Thomas
it's
Hayden
real life.
Church. Yeah. Thomas Hayden Church. He's a recovered alcoholic, but he doesn't credit that to necessarily his faith or his own work, but to this priest, and that's extremely dangerous. Yeah, everyone, like, it's a good kaleidoscope of why a cult of personality isn't good, and it's dangerous. I was tickled by Jeremy Renner in this. I thought he was really funny, and I think also he was kind of playing against type, or what we've seen him do most recently, probably just with all the Marvel stuff. Like he kind of was like a little shrewish man, like, you know, and I was like, oh, but this is Jeremy Renner. I've seen him kick aliens in the face.
Right. Is the Arrow Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jeremy Renner, I know he's an easy guy to kick a little bit. I mean, all the non-movie related stuff, like his app was a very bad idea. Although that was also a very long time ago. That was pre-pandemic, you know, like a lot has happened since that kind of misfire. But he's an easy guy to make fun of because of stuff like that. And he's another one of those guys that, like, I think tried to launch like a music career and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and like, you know, I don't know how corroborated it is, but like threatening his wife with a gun, I believe, is one of the things.
Yeah,
so,
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so yeah, like apart from the acting, he's a weird dude.
He's a very strange guy, but
and like possibly a violent and bad dude.
Very, very possibly. You say after the snowblower incident, maybe that's a push, right?
Right.
But as an actor, I think he's very underrated, and I think, again, yeah, part of that is getting sucked into the Marvel machine, and I enjoy the Marvel stuff, but I think its star-making ability is very much in question because you know, do people come out of it with stronger careers? That hasn't yielded to be true. That hasn't proven to be true yet. But I think he's very good in those. I mean, all the way back to like The Hurt Locker, which was this very unlikely Oscar darling. But I think he's great. I think that was the first thing I ever saw him in, and I was like, this guy, he's very believable. Charming is not quite what I would call him, but there's something about him that, like, he connects with you through the screen. I think he held himself well in like the Mission Impossible movies, which feel like a million years ago. Yeah, no, it's nice to see him kind of like do like an acting performance again after a long time of like action stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's great in Wind River. He's great in American Hustle. He's great in Arrival.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about American Hustle. Everyone hates that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
Okay, so but back to Kerry Washington. I wanted more of her. Like, she was.
She's so good.
I really like. I wanted less Psy, and I wanted less Andrew Scott. You know, like, I wanted a little bit more with Kerry Washington, because the idea of like when she says, she's like, so, you know, I imagine my dad is looking down at me from heaven and he's proud, and she's like, and I guess that's something, and it's like, oh my God, like, you've devoted your life to just that idea. And like it hasn't that hasn't sustained you. All it's done is like kind of held you into this prison. That was very interesting to me, and I thought I feel like she is the only one of the real side characters who really like knocked it out of the park for me in her smaller time. Like Kaylee Spaney, I was like, yeah, you're great. She's great in everything, but
who doesn't like Kaylee Spaney? You know, like, but who looked a lot like Jennifer Lawrence to me in this movie. I don't think I'd ever noticed that before, but
she does look a lot like Jennifer Lawrence.
She's got a Jennifer Lawrence thing going on. But yeah, no, I think Kerry Washington also. I think Vera is just like a very potent, fascinating character, because like Jefferson Wicks, which. We keep calling him Josh Brolin because I think that's just what we associate him with. But it's worth noting Jefferson Wicks is a pretty good character name. That's really solid.
Sure.
He's destroyed everyone's lives in this movie. Like all of his disciples, he's destroyed in some ways. Like he's drained Kaylee Spaney's money. You know, he whatever. But like he really destroyed Vera's life, and I think seeing her grapple with that is like some of the most like dramatic, like really absorbing stuff. And again, another character and actor that could be a higher lead in a different movie that didn't have 12 other people in it. So yeah, no, Kerry Washington is one of those that she disappears just long enough in like culture for you to forget, and then she shows up in something. And you're like, oh, that's right, I forgot. Kerry Washington's so great. Like,
Yeah.
She's never had, to my knowledge, has never had like a 4 or 5 movies in one year kind of career. So it's kind of like a treat when she shows up in something.
Did you have any other thoughts on the movie? I'm sure you did, because it's a big movie.
Yeah, I've been sitting there the whole time, religion being one of the topics you're not supposed to talk about, but it's hard not to see like one's own connection and relationship with religion through this movie because it covers like every facet of it.
Yeah.
And one's views is almost assuredly mirrored by someone in this movie, right? But
right.
Yeah, if I may, I did not grow up particularly religious, and I didn't go to. Is it secular school? Secular is religious, and non-secular is non-religious, or is it the other way around?
Secular is non-religious.
Okay, that shows my heathen nature. I can't even tell the difference. I went to secular school like my entire life until I hit high school, and then all of a sudden I went to Catholic high school starting in 9th grade, which is the opposite path most people take. They usually go to a Catholic middle school, and then they get put into Gen Pop, and it all kind of goes crazy from there. Went the opposite route. So by the time I was all of a sudden like 14, 15, and like now I'm learning about like the Bible all of a sudden. It was very strange. But when you start approaching it as like not something that you believe to be factually true, but just like a structure for people to kind of operate under, you kind of have a weird appreciation for it, even if, as Benoit Blanc said, I'm kind of more on Benoit Blanc's side, if I may. It's a lie. It's a made-up riddle, whatever he says. But I think a well-run, empathetic, humanist church is actually really important to at least American society as it was set up. I can't speak for the world, but its sins and evils of the corporate side of the church it's very well documented, and I think very rightly people have moved away from going to church because that's a very deep betrayal. It hasn't been replaced by anything yet, except maybe following Taylor Swift or going on to QAnon spaces, and those things are not QAnon's not nice. Taylor Swift's nice, but those things are kind of productive, but they don't really replace that community sharing. I think we're all a little bit more isolated because nothing has really taken up church's role.
Right.
So it was nice to see. I say all this. This is all kind of a rambling thought that I'm 20% even scared to even get into because religion's a scary topic. But I think that's why the ending of this movie hit so hard, and why that's like what I think about when I think of Wake Up Dead Man a week or so since I've seen it. Because to kind of land on this thing, again, Benoit Blanc is not going to be going to Mass anytime soon. He's not going to be taking communion. Won't be participating in Ash Wednesday. But I think he can see, and again, I love that there's like this implied friction between him and his mother, and there's so much to that. I forget, if I'm wrong about this, we can kind of massage this a little bit. Did they kind of hint towards Blanc's sexuality in the last movie? Is there something kind of to that?
Yeah. I mean, we see his partner is Hugh Grant.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. So they don't hint at it; they expressly state it. Okay, perfect. Yes. So there's a lot there. When he talks about I have friction with my mother, when you start tying those two things together that aren't mentioned together but do exist, there's a whole story there that we don't get.
Right.
So I understand why he would have very, very hard feelings towards the church. But I do think he's a richer man for having experienced the world through Father Judd. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. Because even me, someone who's like, I wouldn't even know where to start if I all of a sudden wanted to go to church tomorrow. It's not going to happen. But I feel more secure knowing that some of these churches could be run by a Father Judd and not a Jefferson Wicks. I think there's a very powerful, we can take this back and we don't have to accept zealotry if we don't want to. There are better ways. And I think that's a really, really powerful, kind of bold thing for a movie to do. And then release it at Christmas time is even kind of cooler and more subversive to me. That's just what I think of when I think back on this movie, is like those closing moments and how, I totally agree with this.
Yeah, and like I said, it's like he handles the subject, which is a very real subject, just very with a lot of wisdom, and he doesn't come out and say one way or the other. Like I don't think I don't believe that this film is a pro-Catholic film. I also don't think that it's an anti-Catholic film. I think that he reduces it down to individuals and shows why it's not necessarily systems, but it's more so individuals. And I think that that is important in our current day, where it's like, hey, you know who's the problem? That guy.
Or this type
Let's
of
get rid
person.
of that guy.
Yeah.
let's replace that guy, and maybe things will actually be better. And I think that I think that that's the truth.
I mean, here. And, you know, I know Rian Johnson gets people who don't like him. I think the things that often get said, it's like, you know, call him smug, self-satisfied. And like, I can see all that as low as moments. Those things are true. So when you get like the guy who's purported to be smug and self-satisfied and is writing tackle religion, you're just like, oh crap, where's this going to land? And to have such a poignant kind of mature, holistic view, more of that, please. If all movies were like this, I think we wouldn't be so angry all the time.
Right.
Yeah, great movie, and now it's on Netflix, so you can put it on again and again if you like.
If you haven't. And I do want to clarify, like Ryan and I were fortunate we were able to see this in theaters because this was put into theaters near where we live.
100% lucky. Yeah.
I don't want anyone listening to feel bad, you know, if your only option for watching this is on Netflix. That's the way that things are right now, and it's unfortunate, and movies should be for everyone and released everywhere. So just wanted to clarify that. We were very fortunate, and it's a shame that we're fortunate and not just the it's a shame that we're the exception and not the rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We shouldn't be special for having gotten to see a movie in a movie theater. And even then, to be honest, you show up. That was another kind of like kick in the pants because like we saw this right around the time of the Netflix Warner Brothers acquisition announcement. You sit down. It's like, all right, time to escape for a little bit. And the first thing you see is the giant Netflix logo, and it's like, man.
I saw this with my 12-year-old son, and the Netflix logo came up. And he said to me, why are they doing an ad for Netflix in a movie theater? And it was one of those where I had to like put my hand on his shoulder and be like, son, I'm sorry to tell you.
If only it were an ad.
This is the movie.
This is part of the film. It's on the reel. Yeah, no, an ad would have been nice. That would have been much better than what we ended up, what the reality of it was. But, you know, I will say for as long as we still are in this period where Netflix is still throwing money at people to make stuff for them, I think that window is going to close here in the next couple of years. But, you know, fine. There are advantages to seeing things at home. You know, no one's talking on their cell phone except you, perhaps. So, you know, I don't think it's going to be a lesser experience if you have to check this out on Netflix. So don't worry about that.
Ryan, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me in text and in audio form. I do a podcast with my friend Jimmy McShane, where we kind of go through the history of some of our favorite pop cultures. We from start to finish, we picked something very, very small and easy to get through as our initial project. That's going through classic Doctor Who. I think at the time of this episode dropping, there's only 26 years of that. That's easy. I think at the moment of this episode's release, we're going through the third Doctor era. That would be John Pertwee. We're in the early 1970s. The show is in color. It's not done in one take anymore, so they can actually there's less line stumbles and people tripping over stuff, and they're all accessible on the basic streaming sites. You don't have to go to weird Russian sites to watch these missing episodes. So that's what we're doing right now. It's Pop Culture Historians, and you can follow us on Instagram at Pop Culture Historians Podcast. And I also run a movie blog site. I usually try to put something up there once a month, maybe twice a month if I get a burst of inspiration. I do all kinds of stuff on there. I do like a running Spielberg series. I just got done doing his 80s output. Just in time for Thanksgiving last month, I did like a planes, trains, and automobiles article. So it's that kind of stuff. It's just kind of long form essay on the format on things that hopefully you've seen and already love, or maybe we'll go out and see and potentially love as well. And that's called Crittical Analysis. The critical has 2 T's. Rian Ritter. You see how that's funny. Pause for laughs.
Right.
And criticalanalysis.com. You can either do it with or without the hyphen between the words, and it should still take you there. So check me out there. If you are like, this guy's interesting, but I don't want to hear him talk, I get it. Right. That would be the place to go.
Very good. Very good. And the link to both of those will be in the episode notes. So check those out. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you are listening. And you can reach out, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about Wake Up Dead Man, Josh Brolin's beard, the close-up of Glenn Close's blue lips.
Oh, yeah.
Anything. Let us know.
The bones and acid. Yeah, that was
Oh, yeah.
You didn't even mention that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner's lifeless body sliding down the stairs. Send us an email. moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Look, folks, I'm just going to say it, okay? It's $5 a month. You get access to all of our additional episodes, our patron-only Discord. You get to vote on upcoming movies and monthly themes. Oh my gosh. And, if you don't do it, the show is going to end. This will be the last time that you ever hear from us. We're coming up to the end of the year. We're staring down a whole new one, and we're just, what are we doing with our lives?
That's a lot of pressure. That's worth
so
$5
pressure.
For me. Yeah.
You should all feel immense pressure. You should feel Catholic guilt.
That's right. Wake up, dead man. The new Patreon post has arrived. And that's a quarter of like a Netflix account too. I'll say that. If you have a Netflix account, you could just cut that, watch Wake Up Dead Man, and then cancel that. Subscribe to the Movie Friends Patreon.
There you go. Just watch Tubi. Anyway, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. And I think if you're interested, coming back for the Bone Temple.
Yeah, that's coming up. That's like in a few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. something like that. Yeah,
it's like a January release.
Yeah,
it kind of makes me nervous, but yeah.
Right. I've heard good things though.
Okay, cool. But yeah, no, Seth, always a pleasure. Always happy to hop on and jabber and jaw with you. And looking forward to doing it again. Whenever Rian Johnson releases a new thing, or there's a new 28 blank later movie, I'll be there.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. Till next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.